am I in my spot?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Tranquilo. Shine.
Hey friends, I wanted to take a moment to talk to you about some of the basics with your record collecting. I know some folks, they're just getting into records, and there's just some simple things that we have to learn how to do as far as handling records and putting down the turntable correctly. We want to make sure that these things are an investment. We want to make sure that we take good care of them, and if we do, they'll last a lifetime. So I'm going to start with showing you this album, Simon and Garfunkel. It's a classic. So to take it out of the sleeve, we want to make sure that we don't touch the grooves. And this took me a little while to figure out how to do this, so it might take some practice. So I open the sleeve up a little bit, I stick my hand in here without touching the record, and I put it right on the label, and then my thumb on the edge, and bring it out. What we want to avoid is this paper rubbing on the record too much. A little bit's going to be fine, but if it happens a lot, it could get scuffed up over time. As far as handling the record, we want to make sure we don't touch the grooves. So we can flip it like this and hold it on the label like this. The reason why we don't want to touch the grooves is because our hands have different oils and greases on them, and we don't want to get those in the grooves because over time it will cause buildup and make our record sound crummy. All right, let's put this on the turntable. So we'll place it on the turntable like this. Let's get it going. Now we want to line up our needle to the edge like this. And one thing that's very important is we want to give it a brush. So I have this record brush, and we want to run it around, let it go around maybe once or twice, and then push it off to the side. This is key to do this every time you put a record on, because dust will attract to it because of static electricity. Just taking out of the sleeve and bring it to the turntable, a little bit of dust will get on there. So it's good to do this every time we put a record on. Now I recommend we always lower the tone arm with the tone arm lever. That way it'll go down nice and slow, and that'll keep your needle in good shape and not damage your record. All right, so let's go ahead and take it off. We want to lift our tone arm lever, bring this over, and then we're going to stop from spinning. Pick it up on the edges like we do, and we'll place it back in the sleeve like so. I like to kind of roll it in. Again, we want to avoid the rubbing, and then we put it back in the jacket. So one thing we want to avoid when taking the records out, we don't want to do the pinch pull. Like, this is a no-no. Why? Because it will get some of that grease and oil on the edge of the record, and then as soon as that needle hits that spot, it will drag those oils through the grooves. We've all seen those records, used records you find. You get them, you put them on, the first song just sounds kind of crackly, not very good, but then as it gets into the record, it's fine. Well, that's because people would pinch it like that, and that first song has a lot of gunk in it. All right, so let's put this back in here, and then we'll talk about record storage a little bit. Last thing I want to tell you about today is how to store your records, just some tips and tricks. You want to make sure you have them stored upright, kind of like this, where you don't want to have them stacked on each other, because what will happen is that weight will cause them to warp over time, and they're kind of a pain to get at. So store them upright like this. Find a nice shelf. These cube shelves are very common. They're the IKEA Kallax are the most common ones, but you can find something similar at Target or Walmart. These are actually the Target ones, and they work great for me. One thing you got to be careful with is if you buy the bigger ones, make sure you reinforce it, because these records get really heavy, and there's been very sad stories of these things collapsing and ruining record collections. So make sure you do that. The other thing, you want to make sure they're out of the sun. The heat from the sun can warp them very quickly, and keep them dry. We don't want mold or anything to get into them. So I like to keep my records in plastic sleeves. This also helps them stay nice and fresh and not get too worn out from going in and out of the shelf. So this is just a little bit about how to store records. I hope this was helpful to you, and please like and subscribe and comment below. Thanks.